This week from Marvel Comics, Carnage issue number 8, written by Torun Gronbekk, art by Perez. If you've been watching the channel, you may be aware of my endeavor to catch up with the current Carnage series from unparalleled writer Torun Gronbekk, and with the release of issue number 8, boy am I glad I did. The new era of Carnage under Gronbekk renders one of the most natural and effective evolutions of a legacy comic character that I have witnessed. This gradual thematic change has allowed Carnage to break free, literally, from any shred of humanity that he once relied on or hindered him, and introduce a whole new pantheon of settings and narratives for the evolved character to explore. I think it's this element, this boundless possibility of the character's chaotic, future, violent machinations, that make this one of the most exciting books in Marvel's catalog right now. I literally felt myself needing to read the next installment in this series, even though I was afraid of what was going to come next. Another component that makes Carnage a must-read is the inclusion of a fan-favorite character in the Venom universe, Flash Thompson. Flash Thompson began his life in comics simply as Peter Parker's bully, but has since endured one of the most nuanced and compelling sagas in comics. Namely, his far too brief run as Agent Venom and Venom Space Knight from Robbie Thompson way back in 2015. Flash's intriguing, genre-bending titles over the years have led to a bit of a cult following in the Venom fandom, which only grew in popularity with his death at the hands of the Red Goblin in Spider-Man 800. Then, in the recent penultimate Venom event, The King in Black, Eddie Brock found Flash's consciousness inside the symbiote hive mind and brought him back to life with his symbiote, Anti-Venom. Marvel promised exciting new things with Flash for his return, and they hit the ground running really early with the severely underrated series Extreme Carnage, spearheaded by Philip Kennedy Johnson and various other writers and artists focusing on members of the symbiote family, which saw Flash as the lead character exploring the aftermath of the King in Black invasion. What I loved about this series is that it took pains to address the everyman in the Marvel Universe, specifically the city of New York, who seemed to be under constant threat of alien invasion on a near monthly basis. This series brought the Alchemax Corporation back into the forefront of Venom lore as they vied for political power in order to control and experiment on symbiotes who were now publicly feared and discriminated against. As Flash struggles to protect innocence and keep his own symbiote identity a secret, he must also protect his own symbiote kind. As Carnage returns to take advantage of the chaos and install himself as the Alchemax-backed presidential candidate in disguise. God, now I'm just thinking about Extreme Carnage again, and it was so good! It seems like Gronbekk and Al Ewing have taken the grounded sentiment of that series and elevated it in their own work, paving the way to a new symbiote event series that could very well change elements of the Marvel Universe forever, much like King in Black. But enough rambling about Venom lore, let's dive into Carnage issue number 8 now with some spoilers. Carnage number 8 begins with the shocking final moments of Flash's desperate fight to stop Carnage from consuming the Anti-Venom symbiote and evolving to a godlike state. Luckily for Flash, whose mind has been trapped in the Dark Force dimension for what feels like an eternity, by the way, has a friend at Alchemax, Liz, who secretly has the symbiote Misery, which is a hybrid of Carnage and Anti-Venom? When did that happen? Anyway, Liz arrives on the scene with a mysterious Alchemax weapon that completely obliterates Carnage. The fucked up part is that I think he loved every second of it. As Liz and Flash flee the sewers, Carnage reforms, of course, from the scrap of ooze that was left of him, and then ruminates on his history with a beautiful splash page from Perez, wondering if he's even the same creature anymore, having rebuilt himself from nothing so many times. Meanwhile, we see Flash return to civilian life with a newfound perspective on what it means to live life with a purpose, and it is genuinely so touching. I was genuinely so surprised to find myself so moved by these relatively pedestrian scenes, but I think just after everything that's happened to Flash in this series, and just in general, I couldn't help but want to give him a hug. But the story doesn't end there, as Carnage returns to his full strength and sets his sights on his own ghoulish cult of various alt groups that have united under the banner of Carnage's wanton murder spree that somehow or another aligns with their group's ideology. The idea of the cult of Carnage has been explored before, namely in the lead up to the Absolute Carnage event in 2019. It's an idea that I continue to find really affecting and poignant. On the surface, it seems absurd to think that average people would tie their identities or political beliefs to a serial killer controlled by an eldritch being that they can't even begin to fathom. And yet, I wouldn't put it past us. Truly, the depths of the collective social consciousness have not yet been delved, as evidenced by the existence of racist and fascist American organizations that regularly make the news. So in many ways, Carnage comics mirror the taboo public obsession with power, control, xenophobia. In the final moments of issue number 8, Carnage interrogates an Alchemech soldier and discovers the existence of the Alchemech's K program that invented the weapon that managed to kill him. As more Alchemech soldiers arrive at the rally, they are greeted with an explosion, and we, the reader, are greeted with the mystifying narration. Meridius is impressed. He can't tell if Carnage is a problem or a blessing. For the uninitiated, Meridius is Eddie Brock's final form, the King in Black above all, who desires to control both time and all symbiote kind, as introduced in the Venom series by Al Ewing. So it seems like time will tell whose side Carnage ends up on. Probably his own. This issue was both a cathartic finale to the events of the series thus far, and also a thrilling prelude to the events of the Venom War promised to us this summer, and I am even more excited as a Venom Comics fan. The fact that we're going to have the stylings of both Torun Gronbekk and Al Ewing attests to me that this event is going to be as nuanced, surprising, and action-packed as it deserves to be. And I cannot wait to see how the future of all symbiote kind is decided by the eclectic and powerful cast of the Venom universe. Remember to support your local comic book stores and grab Carnage issue number 8 on shelves now. Here's that beautiful and horrifying splash page of Carnage's history I mentioned. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if a Venom fan got this as a tattoo. How much of a loser do you have to be the #1 Carnage fan? I think I got a little desensitized reading these back to back, but the violence in this series is brutal, man.